Welcome back to Heroes of Nottingham. I'm Zach, joined by Brandon, and
Hello.
we're gonna talk about the 10 cards that we're each the most excited to play with in Ursula's Return. So these are not necessarily the top cards. We have another video that we're making that is the top cards that we think are like the most viable tournament cards. These are the cards that we're going to play with at locals. We're going to build decks around. They're just getting the creative juices flowing,
Yeah, they're going to be fun cards that we just want to make decks with,
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start us off here. Hanzo says hello. So my number 10 pick for favorite cards in the set is Great Stone Dragon. So this is a 3-cost item in blue, enters play exerted. You can tap it to put a character card from your discard into your inkwell face down and exerted. Now, I am not much of an item builder as a creature player, but I think this card reads really well, and I think it's going to be really fun to make decks where this card is good. I don't necessarily think this card goes in every item deck, but you can certainly make an item deck that uses this card, and it just sounds fun to do.
Yeah, I agree. I like Great Stone Dragon a lot. Spoiler might be on my list as well. But I think that this card has the potential to completely revolutionize the way that ramp decks are built. It is technically slower than Fishbone Quill, but it is more powerful in the long run and lets you get away with doing things in the item deck that you couldn't normally do, which I think is very, very exciting.
Yeah. So tell us, what's your 10th pick?
My number 10 pick is Yensid, Powerful Sorcerer. This card is available not only in the set, but also in the Deep Trouble Illumineer's Quest in one of the decks. And I'm just really excited. They've been making broom cards since set 1. I'm just excited to see if this is finally the card that makes it playable.
Yeah, I mean, they even gave us a location for this archetype, but it still just hasn't quite felt there.
Yeah.
And now we have this big payoff card. It sounds fun to build around, that's for sure.
For sure. I think it just screams like, we want brooms to happen, and I want brooms to happen too.
Oh, cool. All right. My number 9 pick, if I pull up my list here, is, and this card may be familiar to some of you Magic players, it is Dig a Little Deeper, somewhat equatable to a Magic card called Dig Through Time. So it has Sing Together 8. It costs 8 uninkable. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Put 2 into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So you get you get basically to look at an entire hand of cards, pick your 2 favorite or the 2 most relevant you want, whatever, and put them into your hand. Since it's a song and you can sing it together, you don't have to pay any ink for it, so you can probably just play whatever you just picked. You just get this awesome selection card draw type card, and I mean, it's going to be fun to play with. I would say this card has competitive viability, but I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it in that aspect at the moment. I'm more just thinking it's kind of cool. You can just pick, there are a lot of times in games where you want a certain card. Well, here it is. Find the card.
I agree. This card is going to be it screams to those Magic players out there. Dig Through Time is a very powerful card. But even for Lorcana players, something say you're playing Ruby Sapphire ramp, right? Tamatoa is your late game card. You can quest with it, get back a popsicle, draw a card. But sometimes you're behind, And what's better when you're behind at using Tamatoa to find you a Be Prepared 7 cards deep,
Yep.
And just
yeah. It sounds fun to play. I mean, looking at cards and getting selection, I don't know, it's cool. Just tell us.
For sure.
What's number 9?
My number 9 is Phil, No Nonsense Instructor. This is a new Phil that is steel, 4 mana, 2/3. Your hero characters get Challenger 1. And then whenever you play a hero, you gain a lore. Also, quest for 2. Is this card is really cool. There's a lot of cards that are or characters out there that are incidentally heroes that you just don't really think about. 1-drop Robin Hood, 5-drop Robin Hood, Beast Tragic Hero. Like, those are just steal ones off the top.
Yeah.
Simbas. I think all the Simbas are
Yeah.
heroes.
Mufasa is not, though. Mufasa is not a hero.
Sure. I mean, he dies, so.
That's fair, I guess.
But when you start thinking about Phil and you start thinking about it turning all of your heroes into what is basically a goat, like half a goat,
Yeah.
like you start being like, oh, that is really powerful.
Right. Yeah. And there are a lot of, interestingly too, I think we were talking about this off stream, there are a lot of low cost heroes too. And we can
Yep.
kind of maybe see some, ultimate kind of combo synergies coming out of this card or something. We'll have to wait and see, but there's definitely some huge potential here.
For sure. If you're a Pride Rock fan, this card's going to be for you. You can play your Simba, put it on Pride Rock, shift into your Stitch Rockstar, play Phil, and then just win the game.
Yeah, just play everything and just gain a lore for every single time you play a card. That didn't cost anything because of Pride Rock. So I'm a big Merfolk player in set 1. I liked playing princesses, so the idea that there's going to be a typal deck that could be good, or, even if it's not good, it's going to be fun. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right, my number 8 is Hans Noble Scoundrel. So, the reason why I'm interested in this card, and like I was just explaining in set 1, I really liked playing Amber Sapphire princesses. This card gives the princess deck reach, because as long as you play it, you just get to like gain a lore, and sometimes it often came down to like a 17 through 20, or 17 through 19 kind of like loss with a lot of like the Be Prepared decks back then, or the Steel decks. Both matchups were pretty brutal. That's why I kind of got off the deck. But this reach of being able to just play this character and gain a lore honestly could have won me a lot of games in set 1. Things have changed, but it's the kind of card that princesses needed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes them good now, but I'm happy to see this card, that's for sure. Also, they talked about this in the lore cast, and I actually they brought it up, and I can't unsee it now because it's actually just so cool. But like, the shadow of the window looks like a crosshair on Anna, which is just like so appropriate for that character and like the story and everything. I don't know. The art of this card is actually just kind of great.
Yeah, I agree. I think this card is awesome. There's a lot of princess fans out there. I really, really like that it references both princesses and queens.
Yep.
I think that's a really nice call out, because both Anna and Elsa are both queen characters.
Right.
They're not actually princesses.
Right.
And yeah, I think that I agree with you. There's a lot of, and it quest for 2, like on the baseline. It's just a 3-mana 3/2 quest 2. Like, that's a fine card on its own.
Yeah.
And if it gains you a lore on the way in, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
You tell us, what's number 8?
My number 8 is Hidden Inkcaster.
Okay.
I really like this card. I don't know how competitively viable it's going to be in the long run, but it just does something that's so unique that I really like. I wanted to give it a shout out,
Okay.
Like 2 mana, it's basically as free as it gets, besides the fact that it's uninkable itself. Like, you play it, you draw a card immediately, and then the rest of the game you get to ink whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Potentially game changing, potentially does nothing,
Yeah. I mean, well, I just have to see where it goes. Green is maybe a little awkward color for that effect, but considering you can play really like differently built decks maybe in your uninkable cost with this card, like, it just opens the door for a lot of ideas to happen, and that's a good thing.
For sure. I've played decks in Lorcana so far that have had as many as 20, 22 uninkables. If you could play an Inkcaster deck and know for a fact that it wasn't going to get binged immediately, you could probably go up to as many as like 30 uninkables pretty easily.
Yeah, just mulligan to hidden Inkcaster, and
Yeah.
yeah,
An Inkcaster and 2 inkables, and you're good to go.
yeah, cool. All right, number 7 on my list is Sisu, Emboldened Warrior. So this is not the one that removes everything, but this is the 3-cost one. It's a 3-cost 1/4 in red. Quest for 2. It says this character gets +1 strength for each card in an opponent's hands. Now, if you played on turn 3, they probably still have 3 or 4 cards in their hand, maybe more if they're a little slower deck, something. So like, it enters as like a 4/4 for 3 and a quest for 2. It makes it awkward for your opponent to try and figure out like how do they manage their hand and effectively get rid of it. Maybe they don't want to trade fully into it. They're going to try to like take it with something and not lose their character, but it makes them have to awkwardly play a card first that maybe they're going to lose value on. It just, I don't know. It seems fun, like a good 3-drop you can just kind of generically play, but it also allows you to play the shift one. So I don't know. It just looks fun. I'm tempted to play Amber Ruby.
I agree. I think this card is going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how it plays. The reason why I think this is a good card for this list as opposed to like the tournament staples list is like the downside being it gets foxed.
Yes.
Like you're probably trading with the fox most of the time, but like that is the potential downside of this card.
Yeah. I don't know. Like when I think about cards, like yes, it gets foxed. It might even trade with Fox, but yes, it gets Fox. But like Fox, Medusa,
you can't.
You just I don't know.
Yeah,
like
you're getting Fox one way or the other.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I think we both agree this is a pretty good value, like a pretty good rate 3-drop. So
I agree. Yeah.
All right, tell us your number 7.
My number 7 is Second Star to the Right.
Okay.
The 10 mana draw 5. I think this card is awesome and pretty easy to play. The reason the reason I'm having it in this list is 10 mana it's a big number to conceptually think about. Like it's really easy to think about the things that go right, and I think that those things will go right a lot of the time. But sometimes you're going to have a 10 mana card that doesn't do anything in your hand,
I don't disagree. It makes me think of Chernobog, but Chernobog you can potentially get it to a reasonable number or potentially even play for free. This card though, this as a footnote, we talked about this card in the best one too. It's just there are so many just incidental kind of like like you didn't have to do anything special to be able to just sing this thing for free.
Yeah, I agree. And the games where you're doing that, you're probably in a really, really, really good spot.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, drawing 5 cards, you literally can't go wrong if you draw 5 cards. I don't think. All right.
Probably not. Unless you only had 5 cards.
Okay, fair. You have 4 cards in deck and you draw 5. Maybe not the play. All right, my number 6 is Lumiere Fiery Friend. This card is a lord in pretty much every sense of the word. Just a 2-mana 2/2. Increases all of your characters' strength by 1. So it's good, and potentially like Amber Steel ideas, especially a lot of these cards that are like, if that's 4 more strength, it does this. Well, this card's going to help you get there. It helps you get around Medusa in a lot of cases. You can bump all your 3s to 4. It's also just like I see this card, I'm like, is that Lord of Atlantis? It doesn't increase their lore by one, which would be awesome. But like the idea, you know, as a Merfolk player in Magic the Gathering, you know, it's right up my alley, honestly.
I think we're a little far away from a 2-mana 2/2 that gives all your characters +1 lore.
Why?
That seems a little bit ridiculous, but +1 strength is great. I think it's gonna find a home very easily in Amber Ruby, specifically, and probably some Ruby Steel. But to me, I know that you like a more aggressive Amber Ruby list with Piglet, but a lot of the ones you see out there in the metagame are more control-y, kind of like doing some bigger things, trying to draw a bunch of cards. And this card lets your like Rapunzel's actually challenge the board. Like just a bunch of random incidental things makes your Goofies better.
True.
This card's extremely exciting for a lot of red decks, especially non-amethyst ones.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of Ruby decks that will want this card.
Yeah. All right, tell us number 6.
All right, my number 6 is another Ruby 2-mana 2/2, but mine is Flint Rider Frenemy.
Okay.
Flint Rider Frenemy is a 2-mana 2/2. At the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more strength than every opposing character, you gain 3.
Turns out that card actually works pretty well with Lumiere.
It does. It does look really work really well with Lumiere. It also works really well with Maui, Hero of All, or Hero. It works really well with Gustav the Giant.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. That's true.
It works really well with a bunch of random cards. You're going to be gaining 3 lore pretty easily a lot of the time. I think this card is super exciting. I've been really thinking about Ruby Steel in this set, and I think it's going to finally make its way into the metagame. And I think stuff like Flint Rider, Lumiere, those are big reasons why.
Yeah. I mean, the alternate lore gain, especially since, like, honestly, you could just, if your opponent isn't playing any like removal spells, you can just put Flint on the table and like you said, Gustav or something, and you don't have to do anything. You just sit there. You just sit there and gain 3 lore.
Are they going to attack your Gustav the Giant? It's exerted. It's there. They can run it into your 6/6 if they
2
want
for
to.
1, 3 for 1, whatever. You know, like, just play another one, I guess.
Like, you want to fox that? Sure, go for it.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Next would be, I'm really excited. Number 5. I'm so excited about this card. All right. Mickey Mouse Musketeer Captain. All right. So Amber Steel, the idea of Amber Steel bodyguards has existed since like pre-set 1, right? So like this seems pretty awesome. After playing it a little bit, I can say like it's not as good as I want it to be, but it's still very fun to play. Okay, it's very fun to play. It's like a big body, like it's basically the same thing. Here, let's talk about what it does. I guess it's a 7 cost uninkable in yellow. It's a 3/6. It quests for 2 and a shift for 5. Bodyguard and support. Support is pretty good in this archetype. When you play this character, if you use shift to play him, you may draw a card for each character with bodyguard you have in play. So it often will not draw, but like 1 to 3 cards because it does count itself. But the idea that there's like this big like musketeer synergy and stuff, it excites me. And it's kind of like Nani. Like Nani kind of reads the same, except this has support. But I don't know. Just playing bodyguards, like honestly, like, and this is kind of a tangent here, but honestly, one of the most overperforming cards I've seen in this set so far is Little John, the 3-drop Little John bodyguard that can attack evasives because it can answer Diablo immediately. So there's your sell on trying Amber Steel bodyguards to play this card.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good call out. Like, I think Bodyguards is definitely like you look at Musketeers Tabard, you're like that has a lot of card draw written on it.
Hmm.
You think about like some of the most powerful cards in Lorcana's history. Some like Simba Protective Cub.
Yep.
You get Kita, like as another one. There's just a lot of random bodyguards floating around.
Yeah.
The Prince,
Yeah.
you know,
The Prince is a good card.
yeah. And you put all those together, and you just keep drawing cards, and like
Yeah.
there's there might be something there.
A lot of times with character decks in Lorcana, they tend to just kind of like play all their cards and then putter out. Well, here's some way to get back, to keep the card draw engine going, to just keep playing stuff. Eventually, they're going to run out of answers, and you're just going to be able to quest with other stuff. So, yeah,
Yep.
this card's really fun to play with. All right.
All right.
What's number 5?
My number 5 is Hey Hey Bumbling Rooster.
Okay.
Eventually with a Hey Hey every set, they were going to hit a good one at some point. And I think they finally did. This card makes me super excited. Mostly for the fact that you can quote unquote steal the play by playing this on the draw. Whenever your opponent goes to 4, you can play this. You go to 4, then 5, and switch the tables on them. Now you're ahead. I don't the reason that I didn't put this higher is I'm not actually sure where this card is going to make its splash. I just know that it is really cool and exciting. I just don't know where it goes yet.
Okay. To me, this just kind of reads as like an evergreen green card, but maybe I haven't played much green even since the beginning of Lorcana, so maybe I'm just off there. But it seems like you could just jam it in just about anything, but I don't know.
I agree. The 3-drop slot in green is actually extremely cluttered.
Okay.
Because you got Prince John, 3-drop Ursula, Diablo, this card, like
yeah.
Like once you start thinking about the 3-drops you've got, you're just like, hey, awesome, but like, is it better than having more Diablos and Ursula Deceiver Evolves in your deck?
Okay, I see your point. Yeah. All right, number 4. Imperial Bow. So to fit the continued theme of I love character decks, the idea that you can play a hero deck and have this like really awesome recurring like it's almost like an answer card, but you get it every single turn for 1 ink, like Challenger +2 and evasive. So evasive threats just don't matter essentially, because Challenger +2, even on like a 1/3 or something, is going to be able to take out most of the evasives in the game. But this card just nullifies so many of like the really good cards, or like allows you to uptrade so well in a character deck, so you can kind of protect your better cards with your earlier game cards. I don't know. This looks exciting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that one of the things that like there's been like a tier 2 deck for like the last set, and maybe some sets. And maybe a little bit in set 2.
Still not back.
We good now?
There we go. We're good.
All right. There's been a deck that's been like a tier 2 deck that's a blue a Sapphire Steel, more like aggro-y, like lower to the ground deck, as opposed to the big item deck that we all know and love,
right.
Where you're playing stuff like Tianas and Smees and hooks and stuff, and you're kind of going lower to the ground. And I think that the hero deck can very easily just be that deck. Like you basically take what they gave you in the starter deck, and you just kind of add the good hero cards to that. You add your Robin Hoods, your champions of like your big Robin Hoods, your beasts. You play your Annas, you play Ling, and you can kind of just build a cool little hero deck. And Imperial Bow is going to be right there along with all those other cards.
Yeah, similarly, and this is maybe a freebie here, but there's also the song that lets you attack your heroes attack active characters with Imperial Bow. It's just it seems like that deck could be pretty cool, competitive, different conversation, fun.
Are you talking? Yeah, that is that what's that card called? You're My One Last Hope.
I
Or One Last Hope. It's just One Last Hope, I
Okay.
think.
Okay. Yes, that is it.
So, side note on that card, just real quick tangent. Not on either of our lists, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
But notably, Beast Relentless is a hero. So you can play Beast, sing this onto Beast, give him resist 2, and then just board wipe your opponent's board.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You go attack that ready thing, untap him, attack that ready thing, untap him, attack that ready thing, untap him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. All right. Now it's your turn. What is your number 4?
Yep. My number 4 is Bruno. I know we're not supposed to talk about him, but I want to anyway. So specifically, this is Bruno, Undetected Uncle, the 4-mana 3/3 evasive. So quest for 1, but what that doesn't really matter. What you're here for is the tap ability. Tap, name a card, then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the name card, put that card into your hand and gain 3 lore. Otherwise, put it on the top 3.
Okay.
So I am not the biggest fan of Ursula's Cauldron, but
I know.
Ursula's Cauldron and bosses on the roll. These cards are like close to being, tournament cards, right? And Bruno is like the ultimate control win con to me. Like, especially you can set up these like scry things, setting up the top of your library, drawing it, help you dig for answers. The biggest thing I don't like about Cauldron, or didn't like about it in set 1, was that you couldn't actually draw the card. You just like you're like, yep, that's the card I need, and then you put it on, and hopefully it's still good next turn. But Bruno just says, you get to draw that card now, and you gain 3 lore for your trouble.
Yeah.
And on an evasive body, no less,
Yeah, so it can't do it, like, even though it reads a 4-mana or 4 ink 3/3, you'd think, oh well, this thing's just going to die. But with evasive, it's a different conversation, because a lot of decks aren't going to be able to answer it immediately, and you're going to be able to, even if you only get 1 activation out of this card, it replaces itself and it gains 3 lore. It's fine. It's fine.
And being evasive means that, say you're playing it in like Ruby Amethyst, it answers opposing minis pretty well.
That's true.
It kills Diablo,
Diablo.
and importantly, if they had a Diablo and for some reason you couldn't challenge it, you can just tap this card and you don't actually give them a card. You just get to put that one in your hand.
It's true. You're not actually drawing it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, this is one of the earlier spoiled cards in the game, or in the set. So this is one of the cards I think they spoiled Encanto to us, right?
It might have been. It might have also been the 5-mana Bruno.
Okay. To be fair, I put up the image of the wrong Bruno when you started talking, and then realized I had, so I fixed it.
Okay, well that's good.
But the viewers aren't going to notice that. I did a great job.
All right, what is your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is Triton, Champion of Atlantica. So I don't know that this card has a perfect home yet, but maybe it does. We've been looking at deck lists and stuff, and there's certainly some interesting ideas floating out there for this card. Now this is a 9-cost 7/9. It's inkable in blue. Quest for 3. Has shift 5. Shift 6. My bad. Opposing characters get -1 strength for each location you have in play. So the idea is that you're going to build a deck with a lot of locations in it, and then your opponents are not going to be able to answer any of the locations because they don't have any strength to do anything about it.
Yep.
The implications of a card like this, like the deck building ideas that can come from a card like this, just, again, not really my area of like deck building, but like it makes me want to think about decks just overloaded on locations and like some removal or something, and just sticking this and be like, all right, well, what do you got? What can you do about this? Because You have this giant 7/9 that quests for 3. That's not that is just removed your strength from your opposing characters. They can't answer your locations anymore. You just kind of have this inevitable like win, unless they can answer Triton.
Yeah. I agree. I think this card is really sweet, and I think that it is really cool that they gave us a companion Triton for the specific deck in the 4-mana Triton Young Prince,
Mm-hmm.
where Triton Young Prince, no slouch himself, 3/4 evasive on your turn, another answer to Diablo, and that card says whenever one of your locations is banished, you may put that card into your Inkwell face down and exerted. So playing 3 or 4-drop Triton helps you if they answer some of those early locations. It ramps you so you can play more locations after that, and also helps you get to that 6 mana to play to shift into the big Triton.
Right.
And once you shift into the big Triton, your opponents will it's already hard for them to get McDuck Manor off the table. Imagine them getting McDuck Manor off the table if you have 3 locations in play.
Right.
Basically impossible.
It's going to take Maui 3 turns to get rid of McDuck Manor.
Yeah.
Like, oof.
Yeah, very scary card. And even if you're paying full retail 9 mana, we have seen 9 mana cards be successful. 8-9 mana cards be successful in Lorcana.
Yeah.
The entire history of the game. People play Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. Mm-hmm. They play Tamatoa. 9 mana is not unreasonable.
No. So yeah. All right, tell us number 3.
I like the way that you do it the same way every time, and I like it. Tell us number 3. It's like a very BuzzFeed. So
like a game show.
My number 3 card is Snuggly Duckling, Disreputable Pub. The location, this is a 2 mana location with 9 willpower, 2 to move there. It says whenever a character with 3 or more strength challenges another character while here, gain a lore. If the challenging character has 6 or more, gain 3 lore instead. So this card has the potential to just go, cuckoo bananas in a lot of decks. I think the best home for it is probably Ruby Steel. But there's just one of my favorite cards that I've played with in a set 3 metagame is Scar, Vicious Cheater.
Right.
That card is basically a 7 mana board wipe. It's basically a be prepared. Imagine if you have that card on Snuggly Duckling. Yeah. You're just winning the game on the spot.
Because it's each attack. Each attack you're going to gain 3 lore.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll challenge that, gain 3 lore. I'll challenge that, gain 3 lore. I'll challenge that, gain 3 lore. And 9 willpower is so much. That McDuck Manor, so hard to get off the table.
Right.
And
that you can't play until turn 4.
Right.
This one
you could. Sorry. Yes. The downside is it doesn't quest for itself.
Right.
But you're gonna get potentially way more lore out of this than you would out of a normal location. It's just it requires you to do another thing. It's not just I'm going to play this location and get value.
Right. Yeah. And again, we're talking about our favorite cards. This is a really good deck building idea card. You probably can't jam this in just anything, but you can certainly build a deck to utilize this location very well.
Yep. You have Snuggly Duckling, Lumiere, Flynn Rider Frenemy, Gustav the Giant, Maui. We're just building the deck right here in this video.
That's true. Yeah. A lot of your cards fit perfectly in it. That's awesome. All right. Let me rotate this thing back. I rotated it so we could...
Oh, that was nice of you. Just make it horizontal instead of vertical?
Yeah. Now I have to... There we go. Okay, we got it. All right. Okay, number 2 for me is Tuk Tuk Lively Partner. So coincidentally, this might actually fit in the type of deck that Zach has been talking about all evening. This card does a lot of really interesting things. So it's a 3 ink 2/3 that has evasive. It only quests for 1. It's in red. When you play this character, you may move him and one of your other characters to the same location for free. For free. It's like Voyage on this character when you play it. Then the other character, the one you moved with Tuk Tuk, gets +2 strength for the turn, which works perfectly well with Snuggly Duckling, what we were just talking about. Just this card for 3 ink does so much. +2 strength, move 2 characters to a location for free. Even if we're not talking about Snuggly Duckling type strategies, just imagine you played Queen's Castle. You get to develop an evasive character, move 2 characters to Queen's Castle at no cost, and then you still have all this other ink to do whatever the heck you want with. It's just the rate on this card just seems so high. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Tuk Tuk is a big sleeper for the set. I think that card does some really powerful stuff. People were already playing I Will Find My Way to like kind of cheat on those move costs. And Tuk Tuk is just another way to do that. The +2 strength is really good. I like that we're getting a lot of +2 strength as opposed to like Challenger 2 in this set for like the random synergies that you need.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Tuk Tuk is going to find a home for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. All right. Number 2.
My number 2, we've already mentioned. It's Great Stone Dragon. I think that card, like I said earlier, is going to single-handedly change the way that people build ramp decks. I guess I'll expound on that a little more now. Currently, when you're playing a ramp deck, when you play with Fishbone Quill, you have to rely on Flaversham very heavily because you're using so many cards out of your hand. Right? You play the Fishbone Quill, and then you ink a card out of your hand. Next turn, you ink a card naturally, and then ink another card out of your hand. You're just eating your hand up, and so you're really reliant on Flaversham to refuel you.
Right.
And since you're using so many resources to just get up in ink, you are also sacrificing. You have to have more high impact cards in your deck.
Yeah.
So you can't afford to play a lot of early game because you just need velocity and like just haymakers to actually play the game. With Great Stone Dragon as your ramp piece instead of Fishbone Quill, you can change your deck. You get to use more cards out of your hand because you're ramping from your discard pile as opposed to ramping from your hand.
Right.
And you are more incentivized to play early game and make your aggro matchup better, which is the big weakness for ramp strategies as they currently exist.
Right.
So like you can get away with now playing something like 4 Stitch Little Rockets and 4 Queens in your ramp deck, or in your blue steel deck you can play more characters and stuff. Like, and so you're making your worst matchup better by being slightly slower, but you're okay with being slightly slower because you're better against those decks anyway, and you can take longer to get to your be prepared. So you can take a turn extra because you're going to be not as far behind.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly see what you're saying too with like Queen of Hearts in Ruby Sapphire as is. Playing Queen of Hearts has a cost. You not only like maybe you get to take out one of their key characters, but like you also just played a card that you probably would have rather inked if you didn't have to play it because it's kind of the worst card in your hand. Well, now you can play it to stabilize and later get to ink it too. Like you kind of get you get to do both things. So yeah, I'm certainly echoing what you're saying, but like this card seems like it's going to be like an interesting brew card, but also might have a home in some of the decks that already exist. It's just going to take a little bit of thinking and deck building to kind of make it do what you want it to do. But I certainly think it can do what you want it to do.
I agree. I think that in the long run, once people figure it out, it has the potential to replace or be just as good as Fishbone Quill is in those decks. It is just a very different line of thought that people are going to have to get used to. Yeah. But that's what makes it so exciting. That's why it's my number 2 most exciting card.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, giving people the option to build decks with interesting cards is like pretty important. Big fan, big fan. All right, my number one card, and a card that was on your top 10 best cards, is Ursula Eric's Bride. So I'm most excited about this because currently in my Ruby Amber deck, or well, yeah, Amber Ruby deck, I am playing bridge. I am playing the Bare Necessities as a 3 of. This lets me get the effect of Bare Necessities. Now, it's different. It's different than being able to sing it for free, but like it lets me have that effect on a character, so I don't have to like dilute my deck in a way with Pongo and Mufasa. I can just flip or get the card for free with those cards. Like I don't interrupt my main strategy to be able to play this to snipe the Be Prepared or the I'm probably not hitting the Fishbone Quill. Actually, it's literally impossible for me to hit the Fishbone Quill before it matters with this card. But there are plenty of other non-characters that can in the Triton location deck. I can take a location, whatever. This card just hits non-characters, which there's a few of those in Lorcana, I'd say. Um, so yeah, it's just really strong. It quests for 2. It's got 4 willpower, which matters. Yeah, just a cool card.
Yeah, I agree. Ursula is gonna be an all timer,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, makes sense. This is Ursula's set. The Ursula should be good.
True. It also has the typing of villain, princess, and sorcerer. I don't
Yes,
I don't know where sorcerer belongs yet, but villain and princess already have their own
I
synergies. So
yeah, I agree. The fact that it is one of the it might be the best princess printed.
that
Um,
well, I'm gonna put Moana ahead of her, but I do agree, but don't agree.
yeah. Um, like, and also villain like one of the cards from set one that always captures your imagination, is Hades, King of Olympus, right?
Yeah,
That card is just like this card has to be something sometime.
yeah.
We're just
One day,
yeah,
Yeah,
and we're getting there. We're getting close. We just need specifically amber villains is a really that's the hardest part of the deck because there's just not a ton of those, and so having more good ones is a really big deal.
yeah. I mean the Queen of Hearts from last set, that when she quests, she gives early villains +1 lore.
Yeah,
It's a perfect 3 into 4 right here.
right.
We'll see. All right. What is your favorite card in the set?
My favorite card in the set, the card that I think I'm the most excited about giving a shot to, is Under the Sea. The song. This card is just so powerful and cool and is gonna do silly things. Like it's gonna make new archetypes with the Amber Emerald deck that hasn't existed yet. Like it's just like I think it's cool whenever the things that make me the most excited about this set, and what I hope I've conveyed is like the fact that there's like 2 big ink combinations, Amber Emerald and Ruby Steel, that have just like not made a splash at all
Mm-hmm.
the entire time the game's been out.
Yeah.
And the fact that those 2 combinations might finally get their day in the sun might give us a complete, circle of Lorcana where we finally get all 6 inks being able to be viable with each other. And I think that is what I'm the most excited about at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I can honestly say I'm not excited to play against this card, but I am definitely excited to see Amber Emerald, theorize Amber Emerald songs have an opportunity to actually participate in the game, like as you just said, or
Yeah.
like with Kita and the Muses, and we don't talk about Bruno. There's so many like cool, well, I would say powerful elements that color combination got that it's I don't think it's a question of whether or not this color combination is going to make an impact or whatever anymore. It's just it has these cool, these cool tools, and I think it's going to be very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have been trying to put the deck together, and there's at least two different ways that you can build just like that deck, like the Emerald deck, because you can either go like heavy discard with Ursula's and You've Got Me's and Prince John's and stuff, or you can just go like tempo bounce and play more Under the Seas and power manipulation and stuff. And the fact that just by this set alone existing, we've got now potentially two archetypes of that color combination that wasn't playable before
Mm-hmm.
is sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what in that color combo before you could like attempt a yellow green like aggro deck or maybe like a Mufasa deck maybe. So
Yeah.
it's certainly a good thing that the color combination has a bit more depth now.
Yeah, and definitely has like a more of a defined identity for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, everyone. This was our top 10 favorite cards. You may also be interested in our top 10 best cards video we recorded. But Zach, if you want to send off everyone.
Sure. Thank y'all for coming and spending some time with us as we talk about a game that we both enjoy and have a lot of fun playing and talking about. Um, Feel free to like, comment, subscribe on the video. We're going to be, posting. We're going to try to be posting more regularly on here, and hopefully, giving back to a community that's, given so much to us already. So yeah, we hope to hear from you and talk about what your favorite cards are in the set as well. So
Let us know
get in the
below.
comments. um,
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you next time here on Heroes of Nottingham, and see you later.
See you.